Mentioned earlier that I got in a tweet that pushed me to a Kyle Kalinske a video entitled, let me get this accurate, New Atheists versus Progressives Proposing a Ceasefire. Now, Kyle has I guess both a radio show and a YouTube show. It seems more oriented towards YouTube. And I think in the online world, the New Atheists versus Progressives is a thing. I don't tend to engage in those things so much. Team New Atheist, Team Progressive. I don't feel strongly enough about it to be on a team per se. I'm not even sure I know what New Atheists are. But presumably what Kyle is trying to do is bring together these two parties. And I've been critical of Sam Harris, but only based upon what I've read of his and what I've heard him espouse. I don't know if he considers himself a new atheist or not. I don't really care. I don't care what he calls himself. I have said that I consider him a neocon based on, and Michael has said that, I think on repeated times, based upon simply what he's espousing in terms of particularly a foreign policy perspective. So Kyle has a 30-minute video up there where he's basically got 5 criticisms or points to make to progressives and 5 to make to new atheists. I'm not going to go through all of it or that much of it, but there was one part that I just wanted to address. There was a lot of the stuff, frankly, I just don't. He says that if you agree with somebody 50%, then you shouldn't attack them for a specific view. I don't get that. I don't know what that means.
And why 50% as opposed to any other?
Well, I don't know. That's what he wants to send there, but it depends on what the issues are. I mean, I know I'm not terribly impressed by people at this point who are like, I'm actually against anti-miscegenation laws. Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that. I have the same feeling towards people who are like, I think there should be marriage equality. Well, you know what? Great. But there is already. So I don't care. I'm not that, that's good. I'm glad for you. But at least that narrow battle is over anyways. But so here's a segment and where he talks about stop calling the new atheists neocons, I think it is. Let's listen to this segment.
They are X, they're not. Okay, next. And this one, it feeds into the last one as well. Stop calling them neocons. They're not neocons. You know what a neocon is? Dick Cheney. You know what a neocon is? George Bush. You know what a neocon is? Donald fucking Rumsfeld. If you actually believe that Sam Harris or Bill Maher or Richard Dawkins are as dumb and wrong as Dick Cheney or George Bush, that's ridiculous. You simply have not read their books if you think that's the case, or you have not listened to them talk. Bill Maher has been the toughest ever on George Bush and Dick Cheney. He could not be more tough on them. Okay, and again, go through the policy positions that, okay, they're all in favor of abortion. They're all in favor of being economically liberal. They're all in favor of gay rights. You simply can't say that that's like George Bush and Dick Cheney. It's not. So stop calling them neocons. It's not true. It's not accurate. Okay, next.
Okay. So if we're going to go with true and accuracy here, I mean, just... I don't know that Dick Cheney is dumb and wrong. I think Dick Cheney is actually fairly intelligent. That was really the problem. But aside from that, you know who else is a neocon? Joe Lieberman is a neocon. Now, I know he's with us on everything but the war, they used to tell us. But Joe Lieberman, by any definition, at least when you're talking about foreign policy, and I find it hard to believe that people are actually referring to Sam Harris. Look, I don't follow. I haven't read anything that Bill Maher has written in a while. But Sam Harris, I don't think when people refer to him, or certainly when I refer to him, or I think when Michael refers to him as a neocon, they're saying literally that he was a liberal in the 1960s and saw Allen Ginsberg naked too many times, and then decided that the problem was with the social welfare state, and that neocon, as used in the context of the Bush era, was to describe, and I would not say that George Bush was a neocon. I mean, in a very technical sense. Dick Cheney, yes. Donald Rumsfeld, yes, arguably. Richard Pearl, yes. Paul Wolfowitz, yes. Joe Lieberman, yes. Because they believed that in a new American century, one could export democracy and Western values via violence, and that one was compelled to do so. So thus you had this split between paleocons and neocons. Now, I got news for you. Paleocons don't necessarily agree with abortion or gay marriage. In fact, I know they don't. Dick Cheney, for gay marriage. That's not the dividing line when we talk about neocons. So if we're going to be accurate and right, then we should know what the definitions are. And the reason why Sam Harris may not identify as a neocon, and maybe it's just shorthand to say that he's a neocon, is because he is expressing a view that there is something inherently problematic in this religion, this non-Western religion, that is problematic not just with those who commit acts of violence, but those who take a poll saying that, well, I subscribe to the same principles that these people do, short of ever acting upon it in a violent way. And when you believe that military intervention is justified and called for, and when you espouse a perspective that the very existence of this difference in non-Western beliefs is inherently a threat because it exists. I guess presumably because it's going to metastasize into something. And it is a threat, an existential threat, which is really the primary argument that one uses to justify a war. And therefore you would support military intervention of that kind to stop that threat that provides an umbrella or could metastasize or whatever. Yeah, you're a neocon. And I don't know that his support of torture makes him a neocon per se. That just makes him it's certainly something he shares with a lot of the neocons, right? I mean, I don't know that in a very technical, if we want to be technically inaccurate, yes, it's true. He shares that value with Dick Cheney. That's true. That's true and accurate. That doesn't make him a neocon. It's his foreign policy perspective that makes him a neocon. I don't know if torture you really could consider as a foreign policy, right? Because theoretically, right, there's no reason why we wouldn't torture American citizens too. American citizens are just as capable of this. So you would really have to be justified. I don't know where he stands on that, on the torture of American citizens. And I'm not sure where he justifies the line. If there's a belief, he has this whole scenario with the ticking time bomb. Well, how many people are supposed to die by that ticking time bomb? Because, presumably, there's a ticking time bomb, right? Somehow you have that information. You just need the other information of where is it. Now, I'm not sure how you got the first information that there was definitely a ticking time bomb to justify your torture. But you must also have a sense of how many people are going to die, right? Like, is it okay to torture if I got a ticking time bomb and I put it in a place where I know there's only going to be one person working? Is torture justified then? Or do you need 2 people in that building with the supposed ticking time bomb? Or 10 people? Or 100? Or 5,000? Or does the bomb need to be big enough to kill 100,000? I mean, it's all philosophical because we know that torture is not an effective means in which of getting that information, that the ticking time bomb scenario doesn't happen. I mean, it happens in the movies, and it happens on TV shows, and it happens in books, fiction books. But the ticking time bomb scenario has never happened, where you're talking about a bomb that's going to kill hundreds or thousands, or tens, for that matter, where they have captured somebody, and they have no idea where the bomb is, or when it's going to go off. That doesn't happen, because the villain in this instance has not beamed their message across the airwaves or directly into the NORAD center and said, I've taken over your communication systems, and there's a bomb that is set to go off unless we get $1 million. And then you go and you capture that guy and you say, where's the bomb? That doesn't happen, no. Can you torture if you know that there's a kidnapped girl in a mine shaft and running out of oxygen? Is that okay? I don't know. He doesn't address these things. But that's not what makes him a neocon. His foreign policy perspective makes him a neocon. I don't know about Bill Maher. I have no idea. I like his monologue. He's got a good monologue.
He's still pretty funny.
Bill Maher's still pretty funny.